Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. What the hell is on my desk? Sorry, guys. I just, oh, it's soda that dripped. Never mind. Hi, that's a hell of a way to open the show. Welcome to Monkey of the Morning. I'm your host, the Ranting Monkey. Hope you guys are having a great day. Oh, it's been a day. I actually went out and did some yard work, even though I was sore from falling yesterday. I tripped over my own damn feet and landed on my knee pretty hard and wrenched my back a little bit, and that sucked. And then today I went out and did some yard work, and my body's just begging me to just sit on my fat ass, and I can't do that because that's how I stay weak. But I wasn't anticipating that when I set up the time for the show, and so when I did have to get up and move around, it took a little longer than I expected. Whoopsie! And then apparently I made a mess on my desk. Anyway, we're not here to talk about any of that crap. That's just opening stuff to get us past any commercials people might have to watch, assuming YouTube gives us ads on this one. Oh, good God, what a day. Okay, so I want to explain my day. I wake up, and we'll probably talk about it more in depth, but I see all over Twitter, it's blowing up that Donald Trump said the N-word back when he was on The Apprentice. And I thought, holy shit, I woke up in 2016. And I went and read the article supposedly written by one of the producers of The Apprentice. And it's just trash. It is a bad article. Like I said, we'll probably get into it. But then Biden's own team fucked up Biden's plan. Biden has been on a plan recently, on a path of trying to get back the black voter. The black voter is telling Biden and the Democrats to go fuck themselves because they've been really, really, really bad for black people. It's just true. They're bad for all people, and black people are people. So black people are waking up to it and going, maybe we don't want to elect this fucking retard. And they are in full panic mode. Over like the last 4 or 5 days, they have just been, no, black people, we like you. We promise. Trump is racist. And so they work together with, their media counterparts, and this story gets put out. Trump said the N-word. And that was their push for today. That's what's supposed to be the headline news. And then Alvin Bragg fucked it all up. Alvin Bragg, he won. Trump's found guilty on all 34 counts, which, can I be the only one that's a little bit concerned by the fact how fast this went? They didn't even deliberate for a full day's worth of time. Or if they did, it was just barely a day's worth of time. 34 counts. They voted on all of them. There was deliberation on all of them. And they got it. Maybe they're just really fast talkers. Maybe they're all Michiganders. I don't fucking know. But it seemed really quick to me. Either way, it doesn't matter. It is the record now. Before the stream started, let me get these real fast. Thank you so very much, Black Dynamite, who donated 4 times to say, make America great again. Thank you so much, Black Dynamite. 4 times over. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. For the record, I am not on the Trump train. I am voting for Donald Trump. They've solidified my vote for him with today's actions. But I'm not a Trump loyalist. I'm not a true believer in the MAGA cause and all of that. I'm not. I'm still me. This is 100% a vote. Mainly just, oh, I'm going to be dipping there. There we go. This is 100% a vote to tell Biden and the courts and the prosecutors and all of these douchebags who just shit all over the Constitution to go fuck themselves. I am removing a vote from Biden is what I'm doing. That is what my vote is for. I will be canceling out the vote of one of their dyed-in-the-wool dumbasses. So that's why I'm doing it. But thank you, Alvin Bragg. The rule of law has prevailed. Trump has been convicted on 34 felonies. My creative argument for his guilt are vast, far exceeding what I can possibly write here. Search Rule 34 to find out more. Thank you so much, Alvin Bragg. And Dark Resurrect, thank you for that feminist $12. I mean, the fact that they didn't have to be unanimous was totally a side thing. Yeah, we didn't really get into that yet because we haven't really talked about the case in a while. So we have some catch up to do before we even get to the verdict. Thank you, Snubber. How much you want to bet they stall the state appeals to keep this from reaching the Supreme Court? What's likely going to happen? And I don't know if you guys know this, but the highest court in the land out there in New York is considered a conservative court, so it might die there. Chances are, though, that it's going to end up having to go into the federal system where they'll win based on the fact that they didn't have to have a unanimous verdict on. They still had to all vote guilty, but the underlying part of the guilt, which is integral to the crime, didn't have to be agreed upon. It's really fucking stupid. And Metal Minister, thank you. Got kicked out of Michael Cohen's TikTok while he was taking a victory lap and saying this was accountability. Meanwhile, he admitted to stealing over $30K on the stand. Can't make this crap up. That's true. He admitted to stealing $30,000 from Donald Trump, and there are no charges pending against that man. You know how many people lost money because of what Trump did? How many people were harmed by what Trump did? None. Not a single fucking person. Nobody. In fact, lots of people made a shit ton of money off of Trump in this. Especially if you believe their side of the case. Nobody was defrauded. But yeah, anyhow, before we move on, let me put something a little more interesting on the screen. Let's see, which one should I use? How about this one? Democrats, how the fuck you keep shooting yourselves in the foot like this? I do not understand. Trump campaign donation site crashes after the guilty verdict. So many people went to support Donald Trump after this. It crashed their donation site. They crashed the donation site. That should worry the hell out of the Dems. That should make Jack Smith. That should make, oh God, what's the chick's name down there? Letiti? No, Letiti's in New York. The Fannie Willis. Should make her nervous. This should make all of them nervous. Because people are voting with their actual dollars. That's even more than I'm willing to do right now. But yeah, I've decided for the first time since the 2000 election, I will be voting for a major party candidate. Corey, thank you. I'm sure the judge's daughter made a lot of money. LOL. You LOL, but it's true. Maybe she was one of his big donors today, you think? That would be interesting. But I thought I should take the time because I've been very adamant about the way I vote and how I don't vote for major party candidates. And no, I've never voted for Trump before. But now I will be. And it's not because I've suddenly become a Trump supporter. I agree with him on some stuff. I like some of what he did. I dislike a lot of what he did. I think he spent way too much money even before the pandemic. I love what he did with the court. And if anything, we saw today why we need Donald Trump there instead of a Democrat. Now, this is a state court, so it wouldn't have an effect there. But Joe Biden, the kind of person who agrees with what this court did, is the guy right now who gets to tell us who the new federal judges are. And we watched that one the other day. These are not smart people. The one who sent a recommendation to put a man guilty of repeated child rape into a women's prison because, and I quote, they were totally hormonally female. This is where, look, I get it, guys. I get it. The parties are not that much different when it comes to how they actually govern. When it comes time to vote, the Republicans keep just handing their balls over to the Democrats and going, beat on them if you want to. We don't care. We'll be your bitches. But there are some meaningful consequences. And if you don't believe me, just look at Roe v. Wade and the Dobbs decision that put an end to that shit. It's not just the Supreme Court, though. The president nominates the appellate court and the federal court. And we've seen the weaponization of that. I've always said the way I vote is principle-based. And in this case, it's still principle-based. Because no matter what I think of Donald Trump as he led, or even as a man, I don't think he would do enough damage to this country where it justifies allowing Joe Biden another 4 years. These people who just took a massive dump on our Constitution, these people who just use the court system in a novel way meaning we made this shit up, to attack a political opponent and got away with it. I've said for quite a while now that this is the kind of shit that could put me into Trump's camp, and damned if they didn't do it. Damned if they did not go, hey, monkey, we want you to vote for Trump, because that's what they did. And I'm not the only one. I've seen a lot of people, including some who are liberal, and if you go look at their pages, they certainly seem to be, who are like, no, this is fucking wrong. This is wrong. Thank you, Dark Conservatarian. I watched SNA's, SNA, is that Sitch and Adam? A review of the Pearl v. Chen debate. It got worse from where you stopped. Pearl said, hang on. Pearl said, Crimea River in response to a woman saying how they were working out for self-improvement. Total C word. I mean, Pearl is just she's a bimbo. Other than laughing at her, there's not really much to Pearl. I do enjoy laughing at her, though. But yeah, this verdict, one, the trial is a sham. The trial's a fucking sham. The thing we were talking about with not having to find him guilty, we'll get to that in a minute, but that's not even the worst part of it. Trump was not allowed to put on a full defense. One of the most mind-blowing parts of it. So their contention is that there were documents filed illegally. They were falsified in the attempt to steal the election. They actually said that for election fraud, and that part of that was, sorry, I just lost where I was Part of that was election, the stuff that the FCC looked at, the election filings. That's the word I'm looking for. Trump wanted to bring up, God, I forget his first name. We'll just call him Mr. Smith, Chairman Smith, who used to be the chairman of the FEC, the Federal Elections Commission, to explain the Federal Election Commission Act. And the judge was like, nah, I mean, he can come up, but all he can do basically is read what the statute says. He can come up and he can just read what it says. He can't testify anything else like that, because there's no nuance in legality or in court ruling. No. Just whatever it strictly says. And we're like, but we want him to give his opinion of what this means, because the law is such garbage. It really is. The FEC laws are garbage. They're poorly written. I think, what was it? Scalia. I think it was Antonin Scalia who once said that they were garbage. They were completely incomprehensible. So they wanted to bring this witness up there and be like, this is how we do things. He was literally the chairman of the FEC. And the judge's reasoning for not doing that is that, well, then we'd have to bring up another expert, and it would just get into being dueling experts. You guys ever heard of such a stupid thing? He didn't say it was irrelevant. That I could understand if he was like, look, what you're going to say is irrelevant to this case. It wasn't. It was integral to this case. Hey, Nuts, how you doing, sweetie? But this guy's like, hey, the jury might get two different opinions up here, and in our adversarial judicial system, we can't have that shit. Q, thank you so much. Being creative with the law you're prosecuting means you're breaking the law to prosecute. True. I've talked about this many times, about how they pat that fat fuck Alvin Bragg on the back. He finds novel ways to use the law. How is it you guys in the left, and 2020 is a great example of this, you guys can find every reason why normal, easy understand laws are, too fucking vague. Can't be passing $20 bills high off your fucking ass. We're not real sure about that shit. But suddenly when a DA is telling you he's making shit up, you guys start cheering. I do not understand that, other than the fact that it's all tribal bullshit, which I just got to pick a team. I really do, so I can get in on this. Evolved Potato, thank you so much. I just want to remind people that Trump's comptroller, basically a fancy accountant, testified that he was the one that classified the Cohen payments based on what Cohen said, and Trump literally had nothing to do with it. Yeah, Trump was not even really involved. What probably did this in, and I'm sure we'll hear from the jurors in the near future, if they're not all killed by Trump supporters. By the way, we'll stop right there for a second. If you are on the right or conservative or even a lefty who's like, fuck all this shit, no violence, okay? It's what they want from you because they're running out of the January 6th footage. They need a new blow up, okay? Don't give it to them. That's just true. I've seen some people getting a little iffy. I saw Tim Pool just tweeted out war. For the record, he's not saying war, civil war this time. He's actually cribbing Andrew Breitbart. And it's political war that they're talking about here. So just to be clear on that, I think Timmy's a douchebag, don't get me wrong, but he's not actually calling for war this time. He's just wishing he was Andrew Breitbart, who was a hell of a lot smarter than he is. I was making a point and I distracted myself. This is just one of those where I'm so pissed off that even my brain is like, we've got to say 40 things at one time, and it's not working very well. What else do we have? Oh, let's talk about the verdict. Okay, so again, the New York law and the way that they're using it, the way that they helped keep this open, even though it's way past the statute of limitations for it, was on the notion that they were intent on committing another crime. And they gave the jury 3 different possible crimes and then said, you don't have to agree on which one of those underlying crimes it was. That's right. This law that says you have to be intent on an underlying crime, which should mean that the underlying crime is, one thing. You don't have to agree on that. In fact, you can think it's crime A, you can think it's crime B, and you can think it's crime C, and still all vote him guilty. And that's literally what happened. They didn't even bother to write down what law they thought it was that he was actually trying to break, because they didn't have to. The judge's orders said they couldn't have to. Oh, speaking of the judge's orders, we need to talk about that for a minute, because if one more fucking retard says this to me. Okay, so the judge did not allow the jury to have the judge's instructions in the jury room. In fact, he made them because they wanted to hear the instructions again. Actually, they wanted a copy of the instructions. The judge said, nah, y'all come in here and I will say it again. And there's a bunch of, let's call them leftist douchebag lawyers who are out there saying, hey, they're not allowed to have them in the courtroom. They can't have them in the courtroom. It's against the law to actually, none of them have said it's against the law. They've all said they're not allowed, which would indicate that they were illegally doing it. The problem is that's not true. Pumpkin Hawk, thank you. Hi, Monk. Hope you're well, other than you're cool right now. I'm good. I just sore. I'm good otherwise. This sheet right here that I'm going to bring up on the screen. Written final instructions to jury. Introduction. The submitting of a written jury charge could be very significant aid in jury comprehension. Carefully designed procedures could adequately protect the defendant against the danger of prejudice that may arise in any written jury submission. This is from Susan R. Schwager. I don't know how you say that. On the written instructions and statutory language to New York criminal juries. There was a case where it was decided by the appellate court that the jury instructions were prejudicial against the defendant. And that is what everybody's pointing to. Oh my God, see, they said it. However, Goes on to say, thus far, the Court of Appeals has held that it is an error to provide a deliberating jury with a written copy of the completed final charge or portions thereof over a defendant's objections. The defendant may, however, consent and impliedly, sorry guys, I don't have my glasses on, consent by failing to timely object. This is a list of instructions on how to give the jury's instructions. So what their reason, or they're not their reasoning, their solution. Their solution to this notion that you could sway a jury with the jury instructions was to give the jury instructions on how to use the instructions. They are not barred from giving them instructions. That's a fucking lie. It's a fucking lie. Dangerous, thank you. Trump is so totally racist. There's only one recording of Trump saying the N-word, but they can't show us. Next, they'll tell me their girlfriend totally exists. She just lives in another state. Indeed, indeed. She's from Canada. Yeah, we'll get to that case. But yeah, this right there on that model instructions. As you know, I have distributed a written copy of my instructions. You guys can't see it on the screen, but this comes from NewYorkCourts.gov. This isn't some shit somebody wrote like, well, this is what they could do. This is literally their fucking template on how to give jury instructions. And it starts with, as you know, I have distributed a written copy of my instructions to each juror. Nah, man, they're totally not allowed to do it. That's fucking nonsense. It's just retarded. And it's not like there's the internet there for anybody who wanted to see to actually look this shit up. And it's the third thing that comes up if you search it on Google, right under the New York Times article telling you that you're not allowed to get the jury instructions. I fucking hate these people, man. I hate these people. I just want to put this back on the screen because I think it's funny as shit. Democrats, you guys fucked up here. You really did. You were already losing this race. And in fact, there was a poll that came out. Real quick, I got to talk about this first. Speaking of polls, I was trying to find this poll and I couldn't. I saw it this morning and I haven't been able to find it. And my timeline is just trash. Probably my own doing. My timeline's trash, so I couldn't find it. But I'm looking for it, and it's a poll that shows what the expected outcome for Trump would be at the polls if he was found guilty. And the poll showed, the original poll, the one I was looking for, I can't remember the exact numbers, guys, so please bear with me. I know one of them was 7 and one of them was 5. So 5 and 7% are the two percentages that we're working with here. Otherwise, it's up to you to decide. The majority of people said this will have no impact whatsoever. To make you more likely to vote for Trump and to make you less likely to vote for Trump was either 5 or 7%, off by 2. Basically, no real impact to Trump. But I'm looking for that. Sorry, I just had one come through. I'm looking for that, and I find this Yahoo video. I didn't even realize Yahoo had a fucking YouTube page. And it said, according to a poll, this could really hurt Trump. And it's funny because they spend the first part of their little video telling us about how, yeah, actually, sometimes this stuff seems to help Trump. And they said, but maybe not this time. According to this poll from some fucking random law school nobody's ever heard of, if Trump's found guilty, he's going to lose 44 to 39, where if he's found innocent, it'll be exactly the opposite at 44 to 39. You guys are trying way too hard. We all have fucking eyes. Thank you, Donald Camp. Monkey, as far as Fox News has fallen, they have at least been telling people Trump was going to lose. I hope to prepare people for this to stop people from acting up. I don't know if you can oh, what's up, Scribbles? You want to come hang out? I hope people aren't going to get too violent or stupid over this. I really do. And there's not a really good reason to do that in the first place, especially in this case. You want to make these people pay? Seriously? Vote for Trump. And not just Trump. You need to vote down ballot too, because here's the thing. He has now been found guilty of a felony. The Democrats, if he wins, can immediately start impeachment hearings for high crimes or misdemeanors. And they'll do it. They absolutely will do it. Travis Gardner, thank you. Well, now the Democrats are against letting felons vote. Yeah, I saw some of them laughing about that. One of the Krasensteins was like, yeah, I know he won't be voting in Florida. Yeah. It's so funny when you remove somebody's reason or ability to vote when it's politically expedient for you. I mean, them is the rules. That if you don't follow the law, you can lose your right to vote in Florida. Yeah, he is a convicted felon, and as of right now, Donald Trump cannot vote. Can't vote for himself, because they believe in democracy. Travis, thank you. Trump is really trying to get that black vote. It was amazing watching people today because Democrats are in full-on panic mode. Not the idiots on Twitter. Don't get me wrong. Those people can't read the tea leaves. But others are like, oh, shit, we done fucked this one up. What's up, Scribbles? How you doing tonight, my friend?
Hello, Monkey. How are you doing?
I'm pretty good. I got to find a different background for this stream, though. Go ahead.
Yeah, you need like a flag waving or something. You need something like patriotic or maybe a prison cell or I don't know.
Just something else to look at besides my little avatar here. How you been, bud?
Well, if I was truthful, I'd say it's been a hectic few days. My father's illness has come back and forth several times now, and he's back in the hospital again. Yeah, other than that, Mrs. Lincoln, how did you enjoy the play kind of thing?
I see Scribbles is trying to replace me already.
Oh, man. Did you have to show up now? I was just getting my groove on.
Like a lot.
How you doing, Jack?
I'm all right. How are you?
I'm humored. I've been laughing my ass off all day on Twitter.
I saw that.
Again, guys, if you don't follow me on Twitter, you really are missing out. I'm funny as fuck. Snubber, thank you. Someone said this will result in more felon rights and legislation revisionism than the last 100 years. I don't think this is going to change felon rights all that much. I mean, no. Trump not being able to vote for himself is not going to motivate people the same way as just what we saw happen in itself.
Yeah.
I don't think you're going to see a lot of people like, no, we got to change. We totally got to let pedophiles vote because Trump wasn't allowed to vote. I just don't think that's happening.
Yeah, this is one of those situations where, like you said, it's not going to change anything because all it does is validate to both sides what they already thought of him. On the one hand, he's a despicable criminal who gets away with stuff. On the other hand, he's somebody who is inherently a victim of the mainstream and the inside beltway stuff. So effectively, it doesn't change anything in the long run. The only thing it can do, maybe, is if you got any swing voters in different states. I mean, remember, Trump only won effectively by about 70,000 votes spread across some very key states. It was a squeaker as far as the popular vote was concerned, or not the popular vote, pardon me, but in individual states, the popular vote. So if there's any repeat of that this time around, he's really, it doesn't change anything. It changes nothing.
I think, especially just from what I saw today, I think that it's going to change a lot for people who are like me. People like I'm not in the Trump camp. I am not moved to vote for him, and then this happened, and I am moved to vote against Biden. I'm moved to vote against the people who did this shit.
I think it'll move people more towards like just abstaining, like not liking either side.
America loves an underdog, dude. America.
I don't know if he's already been president once. He's not an underdog.
He's seen as one though.
By those that already were sympathizers with him. Anybody in the middle might be turned off by the politicization of the legal system. I think that shaves more people off into I don't care this time around more than it does pushing them towards Trump. But I could be wrong. I mean, I'm no Chris Cillizza.
I'm going to correct both of you right after I grab these super chats. Thank you, Dixie Rose, for the feminist donation. If the officers were going to plant evidence, I doubt they would need 26 grams. If they used 26 grams of scales in the scoop, they were wanting him to get him for distribution, but I haven't heard Nick deny any ownership. I completely agree. He hasn't denied anything. And it wouldn't surprise me if they hit him with distribution anyway, because there was a lot of stuff laying around, but I don't think any of that was planted. Also, thank you, Travis Gardner. Want Trump to get a prison tat POTUS across his knuckles. No, I can thank you guys for that. I can tell you exactly how this is going to go down. They're going to transport Trump to a safer location, probably outside of New York City. And the plane is going to get attacked by the inmates, and it's going to go down. And Trump is going to have to hunt them down one by one and stop them so he could go see his daughter.
I feel like you might have mixed up politics with the movie.
Well, I mean, Nicolas Cage is easily replaced in anything, Con Air especially. I'm just saying. I would watch the shit out of that movie. President Badass fighting like John Malkovich. Fuck yeah.
I do have a couple of donations. The page is just not loading, so I'll get to them as soon as I can, guys. I did see them. I just can't pull them up. Just from watching Twitter today, I think you're exactly wrong, Scribbles, in that a lot of people who were already like, no, I'm not doing it. This is too political. I'm tired of this kind of crap. I saw a lot of them who were like, you know what? I was stepping out, but not anymore. And this is it's not just Trump is a downtrodden man. We all know he's a billionaire. We all know he's been president, but we can also recognize an unfair system. And when I say he's the underdog or the oppressed, that's what I'm talking about here. He is the underdog with the entire, literally the legal systems against him now. And by the way, Biden, I know you're reaching out to black folks. Is that really what you want to put out there? With Kamala Harris as your fucking running mate?
Yeah.
You might want to think that one through just a little bit better.
Well, I'll be curious to see,
politically speaking.
Yeah, I'll be curious to see what he says tomorrow. He's got his big press conference tomorrow morning. I guess it depends on how
him who? Which him?
Trump.
Okay, go ahed. Sorry.
Yeah, he's got a press conference tomorrow at I think 11 Eastern. I think it is.
Okay.
And it depends on how he comes across. Because if this can be leveraged into an advantage for him politically, it all depends on and like I say, that knowing Trump as we do, I can see how I could screw it up. It'll depend on his bedside manner and his messaging going forward on this.
So he's going to come out and be like, "Look, I am just another victim of the presidency to prison pipeline."
Yes. Yeah. The reason we shouldn't go for Trump with a system behind him, he needs careful navigation. I agree with Scribbles here. He does need to be a little careful. He can be boisterous tomorrow. People will expect that, and it'll play off well. He just can't be an asshole. He's got to be on point. Go ahead, Jack.
Thank you, Cougar Knife. You guys are morons. Clearly, this verdict is the deep state distracting us from their real plan to take down Nick Rekieta.
That's what it is. That's what it is.
Nick Rekieta is taking down Nick Rekieta. That's all. That's already.
Oh, I think Nick Rekieta would disagree with you.
I'm sure he would. He also
did you see?
Never mind.
Barring's tweet where he'd really like to have 2019 Nick to explain the verdict.
That was funny.
Furcane, thank you so much, Furcane. All they need to know is they are participating in a game that they don't want to play, especially considering a certain group they upset. A group that is well known for lawyers, but maybe I'm grasping at straws. Anyway, hope you're doing well, Monkey. Thank you so much. And Trimble, thank you so much. Tim Pool just wants to sell Civil War. Again, his comment today about war was not about Civil War. This isn't his Civil War shit. He was he was just cribbing Andrew Breitbart. And in fact, I can prove it. I can prove it. I have the video. I got to go back in my timeline.
Let's go to the tape
to find it.
It would have been better if you'd followed up with, huh, good God, y'all.
Well, yeah, and I think you're talking about this. You're talking about this before I came on. Is that the worst thing that Trump supporters can do now is pull some 1-6 nonsense in retaliation or something or whatever.
Yeah,
it's like
that's what they want.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. The best thing any Trump supporters could do is just vote for Trump and vote for Trump, and also answer any poll questions or survey questions they get with the opposite of their reality, just to throw everything off.
John says jurors probably threatened or paid off. No, they weren't. It's a New York. It was a New York jury. We knew where this was headed. But anyway, this is Andrew Breitbart.
All the people that have gone out there against the mainstream media and said, you're going to call us racist, you're going to call us potential Timothy McVeighs. Fuck you. War.
That's what Timmy was trying to do. That's what he was doing. So yeah, he wasn't actually calling for civil war this time.
No,
this time,
just euphemism. This time,
yeah. Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you, Frosted Glass. If Trump found guilty the exact day I turned 35 isn't a sign, I don't know what is. Vote Frosted Glass 2024, everyone. Day 1, mandatory GEDs. Machine elves deported. Everyone assigned a random gender. And my running mate likes to say, ship. Well, Frosted, you winning me over.
I want to read Robert Kennedy's statement on this because he's still running for president.
Jesus.
Remember,
is he?
Do not vote. Do not vote for this man. This is a man who once complained that there weren't laws to lock up people who disagree with climate change. Don't worry, I've been told he totally changed his mind on that, so it's okay. The Democratic Party's strategy is to beat President Trump in the courtroom rather than at the ballot box. This will backfire in November. Even worse, it is profoundly undemocratic. Yep. And that's what a whole bunch of people are seeing. Again, just because he says things that are occasionally not retarded doesn't mean he's not retarded. Throwing that out there. America deserves a president who can win at the ballot box without compromising our government's separation of powers or weaponizing the court. You can't save that democracy by destroying it first. Sure you can. You can save your version of it. All you got to do is make it so people can only vote how you want them to vote. The Democrats are afraid they will lose in the voting booth, so instead they go after President Trump in the courtroom. He then goes on to say he's running against Trump and he's running against him on his record, and that Biden won't run against him on his record because it's the same record. There are some similarities there. And then he says, I'll challenge him on these things, but Democrats won't. Anyhow, even Bobby Kennedy's like, yeah, they're just weaponizing the court system. He's not wrong. You know, I thought about this. The whole thing here is that this had to be done because somebody said, look, you'd be held the same way if you did what Trump did. When President Obama was in office, he got at the time the largest FEC fine ever for misfiling paperwork in the election. Specifically, campaign finance forms. Did anybody in New York go after him for that? Do you guys realize how many times people get in trouble for violating FCC rule or FEC rules?
Yeah, but they don't all have porn stars involved, monkey.
Yeah. Devil Fruit, thank you. Glowing Trump supporters are going to do a 1-6. Glowing being the operative word.
Patriot Front.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure Patriot Front's already in their U-Haul trucks on their way to somewhere to be dumbasses. Nikki Haley will swoop in saying she's the next best thing, so vote for her.
I mean, that wouldn't surprise me. She's like Starscream.
Well, we talked about why she stayed in the race so long. And technically, right now, if Trump is forced to step down, she does have the most delegates.
Mm-hmm.
But they don't have to go with those delegates. They can have a vote on the convention floor. So I get why she tried to do it, but all she did is kept making an ass of herself and making sure nobody would vote for her. I'm sorry, 4 or 5 people might.
Can we sing the Frosted now?
Is it Frosted's birthday?
Yeah, it was in the super chat I read.
Oh, I didn't catch that part. Frosted, it's your birthday. This is for you. And a 1 and a 2. Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday
birthday
to you.
Happy birthday,
dear frosted cornflakes.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday, sir. I hope you had a great one and that it just gets better until the day ends. Wanda, thank you so much. First time I'll be volunteering/donating due to this. Yeah, like I said, I've seen a lot of people saying that. I've not yet seen one person say, okay, that he was found guilty. I'm not voting for him. Not a single person. I think they fucked up bad here. I think that Alvin Bragg in 4 years is going to charge Trump with not paying him for being his best campaign advocate. It's going to be like, I gave you all kinds of free publicity. That is an in-kind donation. And then they'll try to arrest him for that shit.
Look, even when CNN is coming out and saying there's something wrong with this trial.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know you done fucked up. The longer it went on, the more the flaws and the unevenness were demonstrated.
And look, guys, there's a good chance that it makes it all the way through the appellate process in the state court. Unfortunately, it's going to have to go through the federal court on the constitutional grounds. Most likely the ridiculous, you don't really have to agree on the underlying crime part of it. Now, that could go either way when it gets to the Supreme Court. A lot of people were pointing to Richardson versus U.S. This was a case where a high-ranking drug official, and I don't mean prescription, was charged with several things, and they're like, you can just pick any of those. And they were like, no, you can't do that. But the court did say in that decision that it is possible to not need the underlying stuff to all be there. I think if they look at this one, because it is directly related to the law, you have to say they had the intent to break a law. And that intent, it has to be a specific law. You can't just go, he meant to jaywalk. You know what I mean? I think that the court will strike it down. I think before it ever gets there, that probably the appellate court, even there in the second district of New York, well, second district appellate court, which covers New York, that even they'll probably look at Richardson and go, yeah, this is bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
But if the appellate court doesn't strike this down, there's going to be probably a lot of problems.
It'll make its way to the Supreme Court, and this sitting court will almost surely vote for Trump in that one. Speaking of which, I did see. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, I mean, there's something occurred to me as I was, watching the fallout of this and everything else. There's something called a bill of attainder. You know what a bill of attainder is?
I've heard the term.
Yeah,
I get lots of those.
Yeah,
that
so
I don't pay.
In short, it's when you make a law that is so, or pass a piece of legislation or whatever that is so individual to an entity or a person that it's not really a law. It's a targeted instrument. And given that, if I'm not mistaken, and somebody correct me, but didn't Bragg campaign on prosecuting Trump?
What's that? I'm sorry, I coughed.
Didn't Bragg campaign on prosecuting Trump?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah. So this entire the entire case. I mean, and I know I'm probably not saying anything as people haven't said before, but the entire case effectively resolves down to is effectively a judicial or a legal bill of attainder against one person that otherwise would not have happened in the way that it did would have happened a lot earlier if it was going to happen at all, and was just this protracted vendetta against an individual. And yeah, like you say, if the appeals court, or if it goes all the way up to the Supreme Court, there's really no way that this survives a sober and objective reassessment, because it just, everything about it stinks from high heaven. There shouldn't have been anybody on the prosecutor's team that had public statements against that individual. That by itself is just so that is recusal territory or removal territory right there in any other instance. If you had a judge, if you had a prosecutor make public statements saying, I'm going to get this person, and they do so years before they start bringing charges, that's not the person you have. Either the process is as fair or impartial as you can make it, or it isn't. There's so many grounds for appeal on this thing. It's stupid, and I'm not a Trump supporter. I'm not a Trump voter. It's so stupid that they did this, especially at the time that they did it. It's a horrible political move. It's a ridiculous legal move. It is theater beyond compare, and part of me kind of hoped, just for the comedy of it, I wanted to see him acquitted. Just to see everybody's heads explode, just like with the 2016 election. Most of my entertainment from that election came on election night, when everything started to go wrong for everybody. And it's not because I voted for one person or the other, just because it was just such hilarious, classic comedy chaos.
Oh, that TYT melt was gold.
Oh man, who made that compilation video? Oh god, it's so good.
Oh, Dame Pesos.
Dame Pesos. Oh man, Dame Pesos. That thing is so good. I think it's actually been taken off of YouTube's algorithm or whatever. It doesn't pop up for anybody. You have to go specifically look for it now, but it's great. That's still so funny.
Oh, excuse me. I'm so sorry. Man, my internet's being douchey tonight.
Mm-mm.
Why are you doing this to me? Anyhow,
you need to get fiber. Get fiber, monkey.
I want to talk about. I want fiber. They won't bring it here. Ron Herushin. Thank you so much.
Ron Herushin.
Glad to see the Dems had to face. Glad to see the Dems had to take off their mask to get their way. I'm voting the same way I did last year. Trump all the way. You should not have voted for Trump last year, but I get what you're saying. I mean, you can. I can't stop you from writing in anybody. What?
I think you're on a delay between the rest of us.
Oh, sorry. Not much I can do about it. I don't know why it's doing that. Like I said, my internet's just being a dick tonight.
I blame older boys.
I blame Biden, man. He's threatened by me saying I'm voting for Trump. He's like, how dare you? We've got to stop this bastard.
Anyway, I'm not intentionally trying to step on your toes or anything. Just let you know.
No, you're fine.
Going to what Eldritch just said in chat, somebody said, look up, if you don't know what's going on, look up Trump Rule 34.
Oh, God.
That.
Oh, no. Gross.
There was a super chat at the top of the show that mentioned that. Yeah, guys, don't look up Rule 34 if you don't know what it is. Just don't. Anyway, the Donald Trump I saw on The Apprentice. This was the big news before Alvin Bragg stepped all over the messaging that Biden has been going for. I'm not kidding you guys when I tell you they are in a full panic mode about the black vote right now. They just came out, I think it was yesterday, with an official statement about how much they care about black people and Trump hates them. And it's been going on for about a week now.
I hope Trump does a campaign stop in Compton.
Oh, that would be great. But anyway, this is Bill Pruitt, who apparently was one of the producers on The Apprentice. And I'll throw this in the chat for you guys. We are not reading this whole this whole article. He starts off by telling us that his job is to be a liar. I'm not making that up. He basically tells us that as somebody who works on a reality TV show, his job is to lie to you and make you think things are real that aren't. And that's what they did on The Apprentice. And he actually says this pretty early on, that they were going to have different billionaires, but only Donald Trump signed on. You mean to the show he half owned?
Yeah, weird that.
But only Donald Trump. And they were in a panic because they didn't think anybody in their right mind would want to go work for Trump. Like, I'm sorry. This is before Trump runs for president, before you guys decide that he's a raping, racist shitbag of a human being. You didn't think people who would go on reality TV shows would want to be associated with Donald Trump?
Right. That's believable, right? Right.
Uh-huh. And then he also tells us that none of the quotes in the article are actual quotes.
Uh-oh.
But then goes on to quote him anyway.
What?
Yeah. It's all just his recollection. They're not actual quotes. He assures us there's a tape somewhere of Donald Trump saying the N-word, you see. And he knows this. He knows this because, you see, that this was a game show and they have the laws because of, what was that, 20 Questions or whatever it was? That TV show way back in the day that got busted for faking it. That you can't fuck with the outcome since it's a game. So what they would do is during the off-screen deliberations, they recorded it all just in case they were ever called in front of the FCC. They're like, sure, okay. But in one of the meetings, Donald Trump supposedly asked if America would accept an N-word winning. Quiz show.
Supposedly.
Yeah, that's the name of it. Supposedly. And again, he puts this in quotes as though that was actually said. Turns out apparently he's the source for all of the rumors that have been going on literally since 2016. But he tells us at the end, there's probably no copy of that tape left. I'm convinced of it now.
Because it never existed.
Yeah, Tom Arnold was out there looking for it, man. He was on an Indiana Jones quest for this shit. He still hasn't found it. But they brought out this fucking story. It's not even new. This shit came out during the 2016 election, and there's been no proof of it ever.
Well, nobody has a memory that goes back more than about 2 years right now anyway, Monkey. So it's new to anybody else that hasn't seen it before.
I guess. Thank you, Joe Biden. If you don't know if you're voting for me, then get your black ass back on the plantation and rub my leg hairs that turn blonde in the sun. Indeed. And that's how you learn what a roach is. That is still one of the most amazing speeches I've ever watched. And that's how I knew what a roach was. That was so out of the blue.
Yeah, a little bit.
Didn't Trump date a POC for 2 years? Kara Young, a model? I have no idea. I haven't followed his dating history, but I wouldn't be shocked. I know Jesse Jackson was singing his fucking praises, and Jesse Jackson can find racism in everything. But it wasn't until he ran for president that suddenly he was the most racist guy to ever live. He hates the black people. Nobody would want to be seen with him. That was the part of this article that literally made me stop and go, I don't believe anything else you say. It's like in paragraph 5 or 6 where it's like, we weren't sure that we could get anybody to come on this show or that anybody would believe it. What? In America, at the height of the reality TV thing, and a whole bunch of people desperate to be famous wouldn't want to hang out with the most recognizable name in America.
Yeah. Trump is a cultural force unto himself. He's been around since the 80s, early 80s.
Yeah.
Not just because he was like the real estate mogul, but because he was always interviewed on things. He was very interesting, wrote books, gave like celebrity tours of his house kind of thing. You know, lifestyles of the rich and famous.
This guy goes on basically to take credit for Donald Trump being able to run for president. You see, they inadvertently made him seem like a competent man. And yeah, maybe that's why people voted for him in 2016. Like, sure, that's it. And specifically, that's what gave Trump the confidence to run. That's what gave Trump the confidence to run.
Yeah, because Donald Trump, prior to this guy, whoever this guy is, Donald Trump did not possess the ego, the arrogance, the self-confidence, or otherwise, or the whole, the secret, the power of positive thinking. This guy, it's his fault. It really is. It's his fault.
Oh,
And,
I mean, obviously.
And
This
in
motherfucker's so conceited, he puts his name on literally everything in giant letters, lit up if possible. But no,
Yeah.
it was just this dude who made it happen.
Yeah, Bill, it really should be Pruitt Tower. It really should be Pruitt Taj Mahal. It should be the Pruitt administration. And if there was, I mean, all the garbage that came out about Trump in the lead up to 2016, if there was any corroboration to this, if there was any evidence of it, it would have surfaced by now. At this point, barring anything that he's done between the end of his presidency and now, which is still, he's been tracked and followed every day of his life ever since then anyway. I don't think they have any arrows in their quivers left of any skeletons they could possibly expose at this point, because between leading up to the 2016 election and all the way throughout his administration, if there was anything left to be known to try to discredit or defame Donald Trump any more than he already has been, or has just been an absolute failure at it, I don't know what it is. And so this is where we're back. We're back to this thing from 8 years ago now, practically.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't have anything left that people don't already know or have dismissed and don't care about anymore. I mean, I guess that's the best sort of armor you could possibly have, is that, save for, he's a jerk. Like, yeah, and like,
you're not wrong about that. And it's really scary for the Biden campaign because, guys, again, I'm not talking about stealing an election with votes or anything. Keep that off the table. We're on YouTube. But there absolutely was a media blackout of who Biden really is. Mm-hmm. And all of that stuff. There's policy wonks like us, people who pay attention to this shit, pundits who are like, yeah, I know who Biden is. Who knows shit some of you guys have never heard of before because we've been paying attention, because it's something that interests us. Most people don't pay the kind of attention to politics that I do. And that's not me going, I'm better than you. You guys like sports, I like politics. You like anime, I like politics. I live this shit. And there are whole books about Biden that haven't been told yet.
Well, I mean, the stamping out of the New York Post story about the laptop, which is, and I realize that's just one small cog in the grand machine of things, but still, nobody's had to really pay a price for that, and it was so blatantly a cover up. It was so blatantly a disinformation of disinformation bull, and yet where's the pitfalls? Where's the consequences of it? If Fox News had done that to a story about Donald Trump, you would never hear the end of it, right? Or if the Trump, the Trump administration had done that to the New York Times or something, you never hear the end of it, and rightfully so. But somehow it just, whatever.
And the truth of the matter is, who Biden isn't going to really affect anything, because the people who are voting for him, most people vote based on their tribal instincts. It's just true. However, what they can't get around is Biden's record as president. And it sucks. For the average person, it sucks.
You know what the problem is, though, is that in very short order, it's going to be like trying to prosecute a syphilis brain-ridden Al Capone. There's not going to be anything to prosecute. There's not going to be anything to dismantle or dismay anymore, because he's just going to be a feeble, not even completely there old man.
I mean, by the Justice Department's own telling, he's too incompetent to stand trial.
Exactly. Exactly.
Chaos.
It'll all be politics. It won't be criminal prosecutions or anything else. And this is his last bite at the proverbial apple. And really, by the time he becomes too enfeebled to let's say Biden wins the next election, Kamala Harris is going to be our next president. I mean, I just hate to say it, but more likely than not, he's not going to get through the next term without something happening, and Kamala Harris will be the next president of the United States.
Chaos One, thank you. My prediction, Trump will say, we will fight this injustice. Media will say, Trump calls for summer of love attacks on the Justice Department. Pelosi calls for special investigation. Jeffries now. Pelosi, nobody's really paying attention to anymore. Her name still gets thrown around because Jeffries hasn't been speaker yet, but he's the one in charge there in the House right now. On the Democratic side, of course. Let's pull this up on the screen. The Chief Justice of the United States today basically told 2 senators to go get fucked, which was funny as shit. Senator Whitehouse and Senator Durbin. Whitehouse, for the record, guys, he's the one that belongs to the Whites Only Beach Club and is allowed to do that as a Democrat. I don't know why. But him and Durbin reached out to the Chief Justice. They wanted to have a sit down with him. We need to sit down.
Ourselves.
Yeah.
We need to school you on the law, Mr. Chief Justice.
You guys aren't recusing yourselves when we think you need to. This is specifically over Alito and the upside down flag.
Oh, my God.
Which remembers a January 6th thing, despite the fact I can bring up pictures from the Summer of Love with them running around carrying an upside down American flag.
Bring up a picture of the San Francisco courthouse last week.
True. But no, this was a January 6th telling, and there's January 6th cases coming up in front of the court. And how dare he not recuse himself when his wife did that because their neighbor put up lawn signs besmirching this woman. That part gets lost when they tell this, is that when she put up that flag, it was literally in regards to her neighbors putting up signs with her name on it, calling her despicable things. And she put up that flag in retaliation to that. And they're like, she's just showing her support for January 6th. Except she wasn't. There's also another flag that has come out that she flew. And how dare she fly these flags? So now Alito's not allowed to have any comment on anything ever again.
So he needed a struggle session.
I think it's wonderful that now, instead of going after Thomas, they're going after one of the other ones with a white wife. They don't like justices with white wives.
Apparently.
Or the First Amendment, apparently.
Or the First Amendment.
You know about recusal? So you heard about that case before the Supreme Court and Michael Avenatti and his Nike lawsuit and all that stuff?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so case comes before the court. Michael Avenatti's the defendant, and there's articles that are like, suspiciously, Justice Kavanaugh did not attend these things. And it's like, oh, is it because he has an association in his distant past with Michael Avenatti and other matters, and so he recused himself? When there's an actual reason to recuse oneself and maintain the integrity of the court, that there's no question of any bias one way or the other. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's when that happens, not when this piddly nonsense happens. A flag upside down, taken out of context, and then these two morons are going to go to this Chief Justice and try to argue to him that Alito's wife doesn't have protections under the First Amendment. Even if she was saying something about that doesn't reflect then on, unless you're going to take away a woman's agency and say that somehow, oh, well, she is just an agent of her husband. That sounds awfully not feminist to me,
And by the record, it's pointed out in this letter from Roberts to Durbin and that shitbag White House that this would be an unprecedented thing.
Yeah.
This is not something that they do, not even in public. They do not sit. You will never see the justices hanging out with Congress people and having discussions, because it doesn't happen. They of all of the branches, they're the ones that believe most in separation of power.
What?
I know, right? And somebody I saw in one of the comments like, I wonder why they're refusing to have this meeting. Aren't you the side that used the word unprecedented against Trump like every day for 4 years?
Yeah, and is no one going to come out and say, "Hey, Durbin White House, trying to strong arm one of the chief justices or any Supreme Court justice into seeing it your way"?
Yep.
Shouldn't there be some reprisal on their part for trying to influence the Supreme Court with this direct public shellacking? This is so stupid. If Republicans tried to do this to Sonia Sotomayor, again, you'd never hear the end of it, and rightfully so.
And rightfully so, yes. Every fucking news outlet in the country should be losing their shit over these senators trying to pressure the court. But they're typically on the same side, so none to see here. Ministry of Wrong Thing, thank you so much. The judge giving the jury a choose-your-own-adventure story on what crime Trump committed, where they didn't even have to agree with each other, then claiming the verdict was unanimous, is all the grounds needed for appeal.
Did they poll the jury for? Because I heard, I don't know if this is true, that they did not have to be unanimous in each decision and so on. So I wonder if the jury was polled for their individual votes, up or down or otherwise.
They had to be unanimous in the vote, but the vote is only for the New York crime.
Okay.
What we're talking about when we said they didn't have to agree is that the state gave 3 possible crimes that this was intended to do.
Okay, so, I see.
Yeah. And so it's the underlying crime they didn't have to agree on.
Okay, as long as they agreed on one rather than all. Okay, I see. All right.
No, they didn't even have to agree on one. So, all right. So the actual charge is the false filings of business records.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it's false filings of business records with the intent to commit another crime.
No, I understand. I understand what you're saying is that like each one, they had 3 options. If all of them picked a different one of the 3, they were still unanimous.
Yes, as long as you're guilty of something.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
So when I hate to keep splitting that hair, guys, but it is important because they did all vote, yes, he's guilty on this. It was the underlying part of this that they didn't have to agree to.
Right.
And it is not as open as shut as you guys might think. Again, the Richardson decision is the one that would probably cover this. And in that, there is wording that leaves open the possibility of the underlying crime not having to be agreed upon. But we'll see. And 5, thank you so much. That one in the wall. In which wall?
Another
brick in the wall?
in?
Yeah, brick in the wall.
I'm not sure. I don't know what I missed on that one, but thank you so much. I will take money even if I'm confused by it. My Streamlabs is for Jews with deep pockets.
Whoa!
You have no idea what that's in reference to, do you?
I think it's in reference to I'm about to get my channel shut down.
There was a liberal. Oh God, I went and watched this Hills Have Eyes video. Oh, it was so bad.
Hills Have Eyes. I've heard about this Wendigoon Praise of Shadows thing peripherally. I don't know the details. I'm not asking for the details. It just sounds like another petty, stupid internet squabble.
It was
basically.
And, but that joke comes from that because he's trying to make Wendigoon seem like a bad person. He goes, and he's friends with Turkey Tom, who once said that the top tier of his Patreon is for Jews with deep pockets. By the way, he didn't even have a Patreon at the time.
Yeah, and Turkey Tom, as we know, should always be taken seriously for everything he's ever said in the course of a live stream or anything else.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, good God.
I've been blocked by so many people on Twitter today.
Oh, yeah. That one dumbass blocked you.
I've had at least 4 of them block me, and they all started it. I don't mean to be childish about this, okay?
Well, you are a child. That one guy said so.
I know, right? After he made sure to tell me he was an old man, which is kind of creepy.
Yes. You like gladiator movies, monkey.
I just put out a post that said, that's it. It's been 20 fucking years since I voted, 24 years since I voted for a major party candidate. but I'm voting for Trump now. And several people decided they were going to, get embarrassed on the internet by Monkey today. I didn't realize that was such a popular pastime, but I had fun with it. I had a lot of fun with it. The one guy, all I did is he said he used the wrong version of your, and I just said your sport.
Oh my gosh.
And he lost his shit. That's my favorite one of the day.
Mm-hmm.
Another woman told me that I shouldn't do it because of women's reproductive rights.
Oh, Jesus.
I cannot tell you how little I care about abortion when we're talking about the judicial system being used in a political way like this. Yeah, our judicial system, the one thing that I have any hope for with our country, because stupid politicians who do bad things and pass stupid laws are going to come and go. The saving grace is the court system. They're the ones who are supposed to step in and go, too far on this one. And that this was allowed to happen, that is just a bridge too far for me. And I have a lot of bridges, y'all. Feel free to purchase as many as you'd like.
Real quick, thank you, Volcano. Since we're speaking of justice, does anyone else think Sotomayor may not be emotionally stable? She's admitted to crying after some decisions that she agreed with. Well, she's a woman. They're emotional basket cases. I don't know what to tell you.
She did come out the other day and say that she has cried after some cases. And as a woman her age, and no, she shouldn't. I don't want to say it's disqualifying, but if you find that out before they're put on the bench, it should be disqualifying.
It shouldn't be anything that she's announcing to the world. This is the thing about, there's the perception, there's the reality, and then there's the professionalism to maintain the integrity of your station. And if you have problems on the backside of whatever this, that, the other, keep it to yourself. Don't give people an idea that there's some kind of idea. You're just adding fuel to the fire. You make yourself look weak, and you make yourself look unprofessional. It's sort of like, I know this is kind of an odd analogy, but a couple of years ago there was some actress whose name is understandably forgotten by me, who came out on Instagram or something and started complaining about the way that Bill Murray made a joke on a set behind the scenes or whatever. And she was very offended and and she completely tore him to the ground. And I think he actually ended up getting either leaving that production or they asked him to leave or something like that. And she might have marked it as some kind of win, but really it's like, no, you've just told every production company in the future that if anything goes sideways that you don't like, you're going to try to put everybody on blast and be completely impossible to work with. If you have a disagreement with somebody professionally, if you have a problem with something professionally, you keep it professional and you don't blab about it to the world and try to turn yourself into a hero and somebody else into a villain. I don't have a lot of respect for somebody who's going to start airing their dirty laundry or they're emotional, brave. I just can't contain myself when a decision doesn't go the way that I know it should. It's like, shut up. Your position is more than you. There's something else that I really get ticked off about, whether it's Trump, Biden, or somebody else. Yeah, you are the individual in the office, but the office is larger than your personal ego and your image. You need to have at least that thought in your head a little bit before you start, mouthing off.
Frosted, thank you so much. No more women judges. Glass Ship 2024. There you go. There's a reason to vote for him if that's your thing. I do want to point out, though, Sotomayor got one right, and that's the case on the screen. This was just decided. Supreme Court of the United States, National Rifle Association of America versus Maria Vullo. This is a case where I think, was she the Attorney General? I forget what she did for the state of New York, but she went around and told businesses that did insurance business with the National Rifle Association that if they stopped doing business with the National Rifle Association, she would concentrate her efforts of enforcement of the law on other groups. And the
That's
appellate,
not extortion.
yeah, the court said, no, that's okay. There's no that's just government. They're allowed to have their own opinions. And 9-0, the court went bullshit. This was a 9-0 decision. Like, no, the government cannot compel speech in this manner. And
Good.
they argued that no, we weren't. See, we were talking to the insurance companies, not the NRA. But you were punishing the NRA because of their speech.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so the court said, no, fuck that. They can absolutely be sued for this. So it doesn't mean the NRA has won the case, because the case was stalled because it was thrown out because, yeah, the government can say what they want. You can't use your office to intimidate people into not speaking. And that includes intimidating people supporting them for what they said.
So was this like a subtle shout out to Durbin and White House?
It might have been.
It's like, shut up. Not your
it
place.
It might have been. But yeah, so again, I think Sotomayor's a fucking idiot most of the time, but she got that one right.
Yeah.
And see, this is what I was talking about. You expect the court, yeah, dumbass politicians are going to make mistakes. It happens. The court is there as our fail-safe. And what we saw today, and look, it could still go the right way eventually. But the fact that it got this far is disgusting to me. Anyway, I do want to change the topic because I want to watch that video. Where'd that video go?
I'll need to say one last thing about it then. Is that in the cynical way that I look at these things, I'm glad this happened. Because if this is as far as it can go right now, then this is the point at which things need to be reined back. And what more dramatic example of that than this? So if there's a possibility of improving things, it's when something this ridiculous happens as a active example of why there needs to be major changes.
And I'm hopeful for the future. I'm hopeful that this is just tossed as it should be when it hits the appellate court. But we still got 3 more of these cases to go.
Yep.
And they're nonsensical anyway.
I know it's the thinnest of silver linings, but I'm trying to look for something worthwhile in this. So.
There's no silver linings. This shit's gonna get worse.
This lady. Yeah. We talked about this on Twitter today, didn't we?
Yes, we did. Jack, have you seen this video?
I don't know. This looks familiar, but I may have seen a different angle of this, maybe.
Well, she's only on the screen for a minute.
Yeah.
And not even a full minute. And then it switches to another dude. But here we go.
We have a commitment to racial equity and social justice in the city of West Hollywood. We provided a training series, Understanding Racialized Space and Architecture.
Racialized space and architecture. Now, Scribble, as you mentioned, you might have done a couple of videos on this kind of thing.
Oh, is this like a blacks only entrance?
Well,
exactly.
God, what was her name? So there, way back in the day, I first came across a lady on a TEDx, if you can believe, actually might have been a TED Talk, who was talking about designing for equity. And specifically, she was talking about how she designed prisons or would design prisons to make them better and so on. And she and several other people I've seen since. Yeah.
Isn't it kind of racist to say you're designing for equity in a prison?
Yeah. It's equity being there is no prison. This lady was a prison abolitionist, but she was talking about designing spaces for peace. There was another architect. All this stuff comes from TED and TEDx talks. I think I called that one if you equate it, they will come or something. And he was talking about he took his wife to the hospital to have their child, and the space in which she was having her child was just so cold and so sterile, and there was no life to it. And I'm like, yeah, it's a hospital. It's meant to prevent infection.
Yeah, that's how we got the life expectancy up so high.
Yeah, but you hear these things a lot of time, designing for equity or designing for racial justice or things like this. And I've looked at several either presentations or panel discussions on this subject before, and it's basically all just wishful thinking nonsense. Like, I think I said something to the effect on Twitter, like, yes, if I have the appropriate angles and the right cornices, I will break Euclidean space and bring about racial parity or whatever. It's effectively nonsense. It's effectively what it is saying, there's a building there that is older than right now. It was probably designed by a white guy a long time ago, and so we need to tear that down. All it is just a pseudo intellectual argument for tearing down the old and replacing it with the better.
Hold those thoughts. Spaghetti God, I didn't see anything from the Fanny case. If there's something new, send it to me over on Twitter. Molly says, we the Dem win again. You should try going back to school because you can't write where the motherfucker. Anyway, Jack, have you seen this video now that you see this part of it?
I don't think so.
Good.
Does the volume go up any higher?
No, it doesn't, unfortunately.
Oh, okay.
I don't think so. I don't think I have my volume. No, unfortunately, it is as loud as it gets. It does get louder with these two.
Oh, okay.
So that'll help some. I'm going to say a bus stop because that is an example that's used. If you were going to say that a bus stop needed something for women, that's just for women, give me one thing at the bus stop that is this female only. That is the right answer, by the way. That silence you just had.
Oh
yeah.
But go ahead. Try to give me an example.
Oh, the tampon dispenser.
You would think, but no. Because that would actually make some sense. I mean, who's changing their tampon at a bus stop? But at least that's female, right?
Have you not been to a city bus stop?
Fair enough.
Almost women there.
Fair enough. All right. Let's hear. The gentleman on the left is a member of the council, I believe. And the guy on the right is interviewing him about this notion of racialized architecture.
How do you understand racialized space in architecture?
How do you understand racialized space in architecture? Well, it's how do you understand gendered space?
Oh yeah, this is the mayor. This is the fucking mayor.
He's not going to bring up women's bathrooms, is he? I haven't seen this part yet.
Racialized space in architecture. Well, it's how do you understand gendered space in architecture?
Okay. She told us that it was specifically racial space in architecture.
Yes.
And he's already changing it to gendered space.
Well, if you understand gendered space, you would understand. You would have a better perspective on racial space. But see, that's just beyond your comprehension. You're just a mere pleb. These are sophisticated people, monkey. They could have entire parties with hundreds of people for their birthday, just like Obama, during the middle of a pandemic. But they don't have to wear masks because they're sophisticated. You're just a dirty pleb.
I am going to spoil this for you now. We're still going to watch it, but this is a 3-minute video, 2 minutes and 56 seconds. The guy in the blue suit says a whole lot of words and doesn't say a goddamn thing.
Well,
no, it's a TEDx talk. Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty standard fare where we work in this industry.
Oh, no, this is even worse. This is exceptional stupidity.
All right, go.
So
That.
well, when you look at there's actually several great books. When you look at architecture or building or zoning codes, they all play into the same space in which how do we create an open and inviting environment for all communities.
So what would be a racialized, or if you like, a gendered space in architecture?
Well, a gendered space in architecture, when you look at how is stuff opened, like when you look at metro stops, when you look at bus stops, you look at a lot of transportation hubs, a lot of things that are they more friendly to people of both genders or all genders? These are all questions that I think we're looking at when we look at cities and how they're built these days.
Okay. He's also, sorry, pause for a second.
Yeah.
He's also, I mean, he's alluding to another concept that I've come across several times, spatial justice, which kind of is an umbrella for a bunch of different things. You can include gender and race under that and everything else.
Let me help you out here. You're giving him way more credit than he deserves.
No. I'm not giving him credit. I'm just saying this is the rhetoric of this is the rhetoric that goes to these concepts that keep being thrown out there that really have no definition other than to create a complaint, to create a problem.
This is the kind of idiot I run into on Twitter all the time who has heard an argument before but has never really actually studied or thought about it?
Yes, he's gotten all this through osmosis of other people around him that he's having to effectively defend and just parrot their rhetoric because he doesn't have a choice otherwise. It's his job.
Let's not forget that these people think that knowing buzzwords makes them smart.
True.
Right. That too.
But his only example so far is, well, if you go into a subway, there's open space.
That could be used by people of color.
Well, the argument, so the best argument, and I'm not talking about best as in actually convincing, but the best they could come up with. The best argument that I heard for spatial justice was from a guy who was talking about designing a park, or updating or redesigning a park space in, I think it was London or something. This is a video I did years and years ago now. You can look up spatial justice on my channel if you're curious. There's a couple of examples there. But he was talking about how, okay, well, if you're going to make a park, you have to account for the possibility that people may have hay fever. And so even though you can't avoid plants and things like that, planting a whole bunch of flowers or making space for a bunch of plants that give off a lot of pollen may be detrimental to people to want to come to the park because of their hay fever. And I was like, if you could control for all pollen and people were that sensitive about it, you just want to replace all the grass with just like artificial turf or something. You could make a safe space for hay fever sufferers. But that is about as far as it went. Otherwise, they're talking about like having open spaces for different cultures to be able to share the space and everything else. I'm like, what do you mean? And I asked the same question that you're asking here about the bus stops and everything. It's like I kept rhetorically asking, was like, what would you do to a park space to specifically attract a particular culture? I mean, aside from like just like paintings or murals or some kind of artwork or something, I guess.
Let me translate this to pop culture references for those of us that are stupid. This is the South Park Christmas episode.
Yes.
Where they did the performance art because everything else offended everybody.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get back to Dippy because you got to hear the rest of this guy. This guy's fucking stupid.
I was hoping Scribe would keep talking so I didn't have to hear this.
Nope. We got to hear him.
Well, okay, so how would a transportation hub, like a train station, be like unfriendly to men or to women?
I mean, how don't you already know the answer to that question?
What? No, I wouldn't be asking it if I knew the answer, you fucking retard.
I burst out laughing when I saw that part.
Yeah.
I like what?
Yeah.
Way to turn the tables, though. It's good.
If you have to ask, you'll never know.
No, it's even worse. If you have to ask, don't you already know?
Right. Yeah.
No, do your own research, man.
All right.
It's safe for people to be in a space that doesn't maybe have a shelter over it when it's raining, or there's not enough adequate lighting, or when we look at spaces that aren't inviting with a bench, or ways in which women or people of all shapes and sizes can exist in those spaces. I think
benches,
only women need a cover from rain.
Yeah, this is almost exactly in line with that Parks guy. He was talking about having spaces and enclosures and things for people to have a barbecue. Like, yeah, but that doesn't pertain to a particular demographic. That doesn't somehow. This is for common use by the public. You have the lowest common denominator of utility, and then just let people do what they're going to do. What do you need at a bus stop except a little roof and a bench? That's it. Men, women, tall, short, fat, white, black. It doesn't matter. It's actually the most democratic way to construct something. It has universal utility. What?
It's not it needs a bathroom so it can accommodate the homeless people that'll be living there.
True.
Yeah.
Theater wench, you had the right response to this. What the what? Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. So he's gonna get questioned a little more.
I think it's exactly how you think about when you want to have
the
an
only
inviting
thing that
space.
you said, and I don't think it relates to gender, that would affect one type of person over another is a bench, where I would imagine like that would be a place where
What about stairs or an elevator?
Yeah, like these are things, accommodations we have for people with
Open
disabilities who are
space,
old.
green space,
Okay, so
walkable.
Yeah, see, people with disabilities are only one color or gender.
No, there shouldn't be any stairs or ramps to the park. It should be elevated, and nobody can go in there unless they can fly.
I love that he mentions an elevator as a place that people can't get into if they're disabled.
I think he means fat in that case.
He's got nothing. He's got nothing.
An elevator at a bus stop. It happens all the time, Frosted Glass.
Yeah, for those flying buses like the Magic School Bus. That's what he's worried about. Is don't want to be biased against Magic School Buses.
Hey, for the record, they actually have special elevators just for us cripples in some places.
What?
I know,
Hey,
right?
That's disablest. I want a special elevator just for me, like shaped like me. Like I'm the only one who can use it. I want it molded to my perfect dimensions. If I don't get that, then I'm being discriminated against.
You
like
are.
literally. I don't want. I'm not a square. I'm not a rectangle. I'm a person. Damn it.
They're scribe phobic if they don't give that to you.
That's exactly.
That's a violation
Exactly.
of the Americans with Disability Act, I think.
It is.
They're being racist against moon livers. People live on the moon.
He brought up elevators when talking about a bus stop. This is an elected official.
Which should tell you all about the type of people we're voting into office.
Or an elevator.
Yeah, like these are like things, accommodations we have for people with
Open
disabilities who are
space,
old.
green space,
Okay, so
walkable
give me
space.
like a gender or a race one. Like,
So
what-
let's look at open space and walkable space. I mean, those are all playing into, I think, the way in which we are approaching.
You see, black people need to have a bigger walk space so when white women come by, the white women can move aside.
I just like the fact that the guy interviewing was like looking out the window, is like, "Can I get out of here now?" It's just like,
No, you're trapped. You live there now.
Oh,
Urban design in urban cities.
Okay, but what does any of that have to do with race or gender?
yeah.
Well, I think when we're looking at architecture, how we're
wait, I'm
looking at
sorry. I'm going to purposefully not pause for the rest of this video. It's like a full minute.
Yeah, right.
Mhm.
You guys really have to, unless you guys ask me to. I am. I'm just going to let it
No,
go.
I'm just going to mute myself and just go.
Pay attention.
open space and walkable space. I mean, those are all playing into, I think, the way in which we are approaching urban design in urban cities.
Okay, but what does any of that have to do with race or gender?
Well, I think when we're looking at architecture, how are we looking at our spaces being different and new and inviting to everyone? I mean, you can build a building just to build a building.
Okay, but what's an example of like a space that's like not that is gendered or that is racialized?
Well, I think the old existing zoning playbooks that Los Angeles has existed in for quite some time. This library itself, the PDC, you look at Melrose and what we're doing. I think there are different ways in which we look at zoning codes differently here that are trying to be more open and inviting.
Okay, so what is racialized about the library or gendered about the library?
Well, it's not anymore. It's brand new. So I think this space is more inviting to the one that was just over there, don't you?
Well,
How long have you lived
I'm
here?
glad they took out that no black sign. That was bad. It was very bad. Racialized the old
Where was that
library.
sign?
It was right out front. It was terrible.
Which, by the way, is the right response to this fucking asshole.
Yeah.
How is
great.
the library racialized? Isn't this more inviting?
Oh,
You're
what's the
asking a
pause?
white guy that.
Well, he said the exact thing I was talking about before. He's like, well, this library is fine because it's new, and this is what they're talking about. This is all just a motivator to tear down the old and put up the new. And while you're at it, give my cousin the contract for the construction. It's just nonsense. It's more sort of a communist Marxist nonsense of we have to destroy the old stuff built by the colonizers, the wrong person, and we have to build something new and make sure that the architect is a woman and that the painter on the walls is a person of color and and then it will be the correct kind of space because it'll be made by the right kind of people to invite the right kind of people.
Chaos One, thank you. Dude just said black people need space to run. Yeah, we won't talk about that. He did something really dirty in there too. He brought up old zoning laws, and there were absolutely racist zoning laws.
Sure, yeah.
But not not the architecture within it.
Well, no, and this is the same tactic they use all the time when talking about either like immigration or something else. They'll say, you know, this country has a history of mistreating people from other countries, and if you go back to the Immigration Act of 1914 or something, like, yeah, you'll bring up something that is a true part of history, but is utterly and absolutely obsolete, and pretend as though somehow it pertains to the right now. And that's all they got. They can go back and cite history, but they can't talk about it. He was asking him, what about this space? This space? What about that space right now in this moment today? Well, the zoning laws from 30, 40 years ago. Like, oh, God.
Keldrick, thank you. They asked the NPC too many questions and he's glitching.
Yeah.
I just want to point out that his example of the greatness that they've done in their racialized / genderized architecture was to ask a white man, isn't it inviting? So all I can take from that is that they don't want anybody but white men in there. If they're doing it, you know, so it's inviting to everybody, isn't asking the white guy, hey, isn't this inviting? Isn't that the wrong question? Isn't that the wrong person to even ask that question?
Well, I mean, the sign outside says whites only, so sure.
Why does this mayor have a job? Shouldn't he be stepping aside for a person of color?
Yeah, what do you do as mayor of North Hollywood?
Look,
West
he's
Hollywood.
clearly West Hollywood.
Oh, sorry,
He's
West
clearly
Hollywood.
Gay, so he's got that going for him.
Real quick. Thank you, Trimble. Says, hey, bud, love you. Oh, thanks, man. Appreciate it. It's nice of you. And thank you, Travis Gardner. Have you ever wondered while talking to someone, does he not hear how retarded they are? No, they really don't. They think they're smart. And that's the problem. This is what I call smart, dumb people. They're the smartest person of their friend group, but they're still stupid. So they think they're smart. They think they sound smart because everybody else around them is a fucking retard.
Oh, he had all the buzzwords, all of them.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they can memorize buzzwords and the basics of these like pseudo concepts that they come up with, but there's no practical knowledge there. These people are dumb.
No, it's magic words. He's basically doing an incantation. He's got somebody in front of him who's asking rational questions. And even in the face of something as common sense as, okay, you say there's such a thing as a racialized space, a gendered space. Okay, what is racialized about a bus stop? And he has nothing, and he knows he has nothing, but he can't. But he's got the best defense ever, all the buzzwords ever. And so the question is, does he know that he's talking nonsense, or has he convinced himself that he's talking down to a schmuck?
That's what I was going to ask you. Do you think he actually knows how full of shit he is? Because I don't think he does.
I don't think he does. There's no hesitation in his recitation.
None.
And that's the thing. If he had any humility, if he had any sense of self-awareness, there would be a pause. There would be some sense of a mild or greater intellectual or rhetorical embarrassment. But there's not. And so he's either convinced himself that this is reality, or he is just so practiced on autopilot on this stuff that he just doesn't even think about it anymore.
Smart, dumb people. He thinks he knows what he's talking about, and he thinks it's smart. And he doesn't understand why this dummy doesn't understand it. So obviously he must be the stupid one, and I'm the genius because I know these words. Why don't you understand what I'm saying when I say these words? You're not part of the club, obviously.
Thank you, Travis Gardner, who says, we took down the slave trading scales and the wife beating stage. And thank you, Frank Hubbard. Was busy before, but scribes laugh at the "you already know" comment made my night. Okay,
yeah, that was. I'd be hitting the WTF button on for that one because that was just great. That was just great.
That was wonderful.
Yeah, and that really lends itself to the idea that he accepts the reality or lack thereof that he's created around him, because he's like, oh, come on, you already know this. I shouldn't have to tell you this.
Why did
this is common? This is common knowledge. Are you showing us your passwords, Monkey? What'd you do?
No, it came up with my Streamlabs. There we go.
Oh.
You want Mike? Go ahead.
Thank you, Dixie Rose, for that feminist donation. I see whites only signs coming back, but whites are the ones being used, are the ones being the ones targeted. I mean, I wouldn't be too surprised by that at this point.
All right, next up is our friend Mikey Harlow. I saw this video. He tweeted it yesterday. This is at a drag queen story hour. And the part we're going to watch is just the beginning. I mean, we could watch the whole thing, but
Mike needs to come back on the show. We got to talk.
Yeah, need to get Mike back up here. Anyhow.
Wait, but what's wrong with drag story? Are you saying this is drag story hours convincing people to cut off their
Absolutely. You think it's appropriate? You can look, there's a picture right there. You think it's appropriate for grown men to go in front of children with signs on their chest saying, "I don't want to look or be cis," and that's the message that's being sent to toddlers.
To toddlers. So, but wait. So first,
you know, if you repeat something in a smug way, it's still true.
I fucking love Mike. Yeah. I laughed so hard at that. I run into that shit all the time. When you're arguing with people and they don't have an argument, and instead of actually making one, they just try to say your argument in a stupid way. And for the record, I do it to other people too. I just expand beyond it. But yeah, just toddler. Yes, it's drag story hour. If you watch the fucking videos from these things, it's not like there's 8th graders in there being read to.
Well, they've aged out of the target.
Yeah.
I mean,
No.
Do you know who you have reading story hours for? Toddlers.
Yep.
People who can't fucking read yet. Christ. How dare you suggest it's for toddlers? You can. You're at a drag story hour. I guarantee you can look in there and see that there's little kids.
To be fair, it's for virtue signaling parents with Munchausen by proxy. But Mike's still correct.
Have you noticed how many of the women in that are, how can I put this, rotund?
Yes, large and in charge and lonely.
Yeah, they look like the East German swimming team in the 80s.
Oh no, at least they were in shape.
Fair enough.
I mean, they had some athleticism to them. Yeah, no. But yeah, you take little kids to a clown, they're going to be happy even if they don't have the context, and they don't. Yeah, it's performance art for the parents to show how hip and modern they are and protest, etc. and so forth.
Speaking of not having context, I'm not even going to lie to you guys. I have no idea what the context of this is. It just made me laugh, so we're going to watch it.
All right.
On Memorial Day, I proudly stood with a black man.
Okay.
What?
On Memorial Day, he proudly stood with a black man.
Just any'll do, I guess. Okay.
How very noble of you. I didn't go look this up for the very reason that I could not think of a unless he's talking about something stupid somebody said to him.
And giving credit where it may or may not be due, I don't know. But let's see. If I could think of something that was innocuous that this was included in, something to the effect of, like, on Memorial Day, I stood next to a black man.
Proudly.
Yeah, proudly next to a black man who had served his country. And I thought back to when I was young and such a thing happening would have been seen as a scandal, something like that. If he was making a compare and contrast between something happening today versus the past and how far the country has come, both in the military and our respect for soldiers, I could see something like that. This is me really creative writing going on here, but
I could kind of see that if we're 20 years ago or so. I mean, it's 2024.
He doesn't know what year it is, so maybe it is 20 years ago for him.
Do you really need to proudly stand? Can't you just stand with the black guy?
Well, he was at a gangbang, and he was proudly standing next to a black guy who was ahead of him. And he's I'm glad I'm here, buddy.
You're not special because you stood next to a black man, dude.
Well, again, if it's some example of contrasting with the mores of his youth or of the past or whatever else and so on. I know, like I say, I'm trying here. I'm trying.
Under normal circumstances, I would give that to you.
Mm-hmm.
But with Biden, I don't trust anything he says about his youth.
Now we need the context. Now we need the context. Hold on.
Last we heard, Biden is remembering his uncle getting eaten by cannibals when he was a kid.
I know. Let's see if I can find it here. Remarks by President Biden. Okay. Let me find it here. Hold on.
These were his Memorial Day
He grew up in a
remarks.
black neighborhood.
Okay. Oh, here we go. Here we go. I'm gonna back up just a little bit. Together we make history, not erase it. To me, the values of diversity, equity, inclusion are literally, and this is not kidding, the core strengths of America. That's why I'm proud to have the most diverse administration in history that taps into the full talents of our country, and it starts at the top with the vice president. And now we go into the thing. On Memorial Day, I proudly stood with a black man, the highest order, the first black Secretary of Defense, second black chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, black woman heads of military units who are overseeing the most diverse, strongest fighting force in the history of the world. And here's the problem. Here's the problem that I see with every AP news announcement of someone being elected to an office or whatever else. Race is what they are. Name and accomplishments unimportant.
Yeah, can we just point out that he's celebrating the fact that we no longer judge people by their oh fuck.
Yeah, I mean, if he said on Memorial, I stood proudly next to Austin. God, what's his? I forget
Austin,
the guy's
Lloyd
name.
Austin.
Lloyd Austin. Pardon me. Yeah, Lloyd Austin. I stood next to Lloyd Austin, the Secretary of Defense, a black man. No. You know, highest office at ever. And you just imagine how far we've come as a country. Blah blah blah. That would be still awkward. But at least you'd be recognizing the actual person and not just their melanin count, which is all he did in this paragraph. And I looked through the rest of this. He never mentions him. He never mentions Lloyd Austin by name.
He can't remember names, and he would probably admit that it was Senator Byrd in blackface.
Oh God,
that he was standing next to at the time.
Maybe that's what he meant. You know, within the Democratic Party, it's okay to be around black people now.
Yeah, look how far we've come, Democrats, since the KKK.
Yes, we don't need our sheets anymore.
Anyway, guys, I got to split. I got to go to bed. I got work in the morning. So,
all right, man. Have a good night, my friend. Thanks for stopping by.
Yeah, thanks for coming out, dude.
Nice to talk to you, Monkey and Jack and everybody. Hope you all have a good rest of the show. Be sure to give these guys plenty of your monies because certainly they need them. They're po.
You should listen, subscribe. He's a smart man. And go subscribe to his channel.
Yeah, that's right. Subscribe to my channel, Ted Excellence, Sunday streams, other stuff too. And I did Moon News tonight. So if you really want to know about how we're keeping track of how the seconds tick away on the moon, which is a thing, by the way, this is apparently a very major problem. I read like a whole litany of it tonight. So
that's our tax money at work, isn't it?
It is indeed.
Well, now we're in a space race with China, so it might be. It might be.
To get back to the moon we've already been to. Take it easy, Scribbles.
Have a good one, man.
Bye, guys.
All right, Jack. This next one is more up our alley. Did you see this story? Can you identify it based on the picture?
Yes. I think did I send you this?
If you did, I didn't see it. I saw it on my timeline when I first popped on, I think.
This is really shitty, man.
It's really shitty. North Korea is apparently shitting on South Korea. Literally, they're sending giant balloons filled with shit across the border.
Yeah. Oh man,
I feel like we should do that to Mexico.
I agree.
We'll just keep flying shit balloons until they stop sending shitty people across the border. I loved this story. I laughed so hard. There's not much more to tell. Is this real? It's a real story. Whether it's real or not, I don't know where the shit balloons are coming from specifically. I've never flown one myself.
No, but they are flying. This is a real thing. The Japanese are really unhappy about it because they're worried this will happen to them next. But the South Koreans are really pissed.
Yep. Kim Jong-un being a douchebag. Who would have thought? Who in a government role is going, all right, I know what we should do. Let's fill bags of shit and attach them to a balloon and just let them go.
Well, it's obviously got some cultural overtones to it.
I mean, it's incredibly insulting.
Yeah, it's rude and gross. So I don't know. They're weird over there.
I mean, it is kind of accurate. I mean, bags of shit coming from commies. That's just. I mean,
they'd keep that for food.
It's a little on the nose, really. Okay, I guess we didn't get to talk about it. A little Ricada update. Because we didn't talk after the last drop happened where we got the more in-depth search warrant stuff, which tells us that Nick and his wife, if they don't shut the fuck up, could be in real trouble because they gave 2 different answers to the police when they were asked about April.
Yep.
Whoopsie.
Oopsie poopsie.
And it points more towards my theory that Nick fell on his sword for, because Nick is like, she does not live here. And Kayla's like, she lives here.
She's our living maid.
She's our living nanny. Nanny, not maid, because apparently nobody
was maid.
Nobody's believing there was a maid in that house. I saw one lawyer who said he saw leaked photos of it, and I don't know how he saw them or if it's true, but he said if it is real, that house was a mess. I haven't seen it. I don't fucking know. But what else did we learn in there? We did learn that the charge that they put there with Kayla is really fucking weird because according to the police officer, there was no evidence at all of physical abuse.
It might have come from a statement one of the kids made.
It could be. Reportedly, while they were talking to Kayla, one of the kids complained about not having clean clothes.
Yeah, one of the kids asked the police officer if they could get a change of clothes. Too.
Fuck.
I got bored, okay? I actually did this.
That's amazing.
I thought it was funny. Apparently nobody else thought it was funny.
That's funny as shit. I didn't see it or I would have laughed.
I did it in response to somebody else.
Gotcha.
I had another one too. You want to see it?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
Well, that tells you who was April's favorite, right? She gives a good licking. I can't read all that.
It says alleged police photo of child found in Nick Ricada's home 2024. When asked, Nick Ricada was supposedly heard to yell, "Get back in the mines, you little shit! Daddy needs his Brazilian dancing dust."
Oh, fuck. Well played indeed.
Oh, thank you. I took 2 minutes to find dirty mine children because children crave the mines. And Ricada's kids are no different. Look at those poor little saps. Get out there and work for daddy.
On a scale of 1 to Asmongold, how trashed was it? From the way the guy described it, and he didn't get very descriptive, so take this for what you will. 8 or a 9 at least. So we'll find out. And look, they've raised the money for the video.
I'm excited to see because Josh Moon from Kiwi Farms did raise the money. So we will get that body cam footage one way or another. Also, a lot of it is going to be released sometime in June anyway, apparently.
Yeah, that right now they're having to raise the money for it, guys, because the police department is charging them to have it altered. It needs to be altered to blur out the children's faces.
Yeah, they'll have to blur. This is standard operating procedure.
Yep.
It's always expensive to get body cam footage but by department and different states, they will blur out children's faces, sometimes home addresses, that sort of thing. Bystanders, maybe not very often, but they have their policy for what they can release, and it often comes with a few redactions.
Yep. So they'll be doing that. What else did we learn? There was something else we learned from those documents. I don't remember what it was. Shit. It's just a shit show, and it is really not looking good for Nick.
It's really not. And he apparently is still talking behind the scenes to other people.
That's the other part. Yeah. It wasn't specifically related to that. The DM group that Nick was in talking that Legal Mindset brought up turns out to be a Yellow Flash group. And somebody in that group leaked the DMs.
Did you want to go over those? Because
do we have more than the ones from just the other day?
I don't think so. I think it's just the like 4 or 6.
Yeah. Did you send those to me or did Fugi send them?
I think Fugi sent them to you. If he did, I will send them to you.
Oh God, I just scrolled past the prom video. I'm gonna die. I'm going to hell, you guys. It is awesome. This is. I'm not gonna watch it on stream because we'll get in trouble. But I'll let you guys just picture it in your head. It is a Downsy prom proposal. And both people are Downsy, and whatever you're picturing, yes, that was it.
It was just as funny, if not more so.
Oh, yeah.
I know I laughed a lot about that.
Oh, it's so bad. It's so bad. If you guys don't want me laughing at these people, why do you keep putting them in funny situations and sticking it on the internet?
Right?
All right. I'm trying to find those. Oh, here they are. Yeah, there's six slides. Oh, man, they're so small. They're so small.
That's what she said to a male feminist.
Hang on, we talk to the audience for just a second.
Yeah, so you could say they're down for prom. Yeah, they were so downs for prom that they were downs for marriage. Inquiring minds want to know. I will try and find you that link real quick. Because that was good times. I laughed way too much at that. It was all kinds of wrong, and which makes it all kinds of right for me.
Yeah, I'm not opposed to it being in the chat. We just can't watch it on stream because I will say something that'll get us in trouble for real. All right.
Yeah, we would both be in massive trouble for that one.
Okay.
There you go. There's the link. Drop that over in Rumble.
And while he's doing that, we'll bring the first of these drops on the screen. Oh, shit. I need to make sure which one's in which order. It'd be nice if they had names on them instead of the height and size of the fucking thing. All right, this should be the first one. This is Nick talking to the group, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Cool. I'm literally talking about a bullshit neglect report from a specifically oh, that's the part I forgot about from the report. We found out one of the people who went to the pastor. We found out all of them, actually, but one of them was Kayla's sister, Nick's sister-in-law.
Yes, who wished to remain anonymous.
Who wished to remain anonymous.
They put her name out there, like blocked her name out, but then said sister of Kayla wants to be anonymous.
And that all came out after this conversation. So Nick says, cool, I'm literally talking about a bullshit neglect report from a specifically vindictive person that is quite literally the opposite of truth. I'm not talking about anything else at all. I'm not saying anything else in here. Talk to me in DMs. Your DMs can be subpoenaed too, Nick.
Yeah, he's a lawyer. He knows that. He knows all of this is able to be subpoenaed.
Yeah. But hey, nothing like saying it in the open that you're going to have private conversations about this on a platform that can be subpoenaed. Jesus. How high are you?
That's how you know he's got a problem, because a rational thinking lawyer, even a bad one, would know not to be saying shit like that.
Yeah. He goes on to say, oh, and no guns were ever discharged in this home. That is very specific. I don't know if anybody else caught up on that.
He owns 2 houses, so
he also recently moved.
Yeah,
but I don't have to say that a gun has never been fired in this home. This part kind of jumped out at me. Like, are there bullet holes in the wall of your old house?
Well, it's There is I'm not going to get too elaborate, but there is a drug culture thing where you can mix things like cocaine with gunpowder.
Sure.
So there may have been some of that going on, but
I hear you, but my problem here is this home part, especially when he's moved recently. I've never discharged a gun in my home would be one. That's different than I've never discharged a gun in this house. That's like I never punched a hole in the walls of this house.
I've never punched this girlfriend.
I mean, it leaves open the possibility that he was, scar facing it up in his old house.
Yeah, it kind of does. Real quick, thank you, Keldrick. No, officer, it's hi, how are you?
He goes on to say, I don't even own a 22. I haven't fired any of my guns since moving from my other home to here for about 5 years. Again, that's opening the possibility he was shooting up his old home. And again, they were locked, handgun in a safe. The AR had a lock through the receiver. I hope that part is true, because having a gun just laying under your bed with children in your house is fucking retarded. But small favors, you might add a trigger lock on it.
This dude didn't have trigger locks or anything.
It actually says through the receiver, so a receiver lock. Snubber, thank you. Apparently, Kiwi Farms is gathering money for the Nick Rekieta body cam, and they have $6,000 already, which is what they were raising. They didn't leave it open for more money. It hit $6,000 and it's closed.
Yeah, I think it closed to like $6,005, something weird like that. But real quick, thank you, Sane Pussy. What's funnier than a Downsy marriage proposal? A spaca playing whack-a-mole. I shouldn't laugh at that.
Okay, next up. My dad was helping with the driving the other day for our kids' education and extracurricular activities. He tallied it up, 80 miles a day on average. I don't care what people think about almost anything. The kids' shit is bullshit. I'm pretty sure I know who reported that, and they have a specific animus towards me. Would that be your sister-in-law, Nick? Because there was actually 4 people who reported it.
Yeah. At least 4 people. I bet more come out of the woodwork.
The first activity I missed for my kids was the day I was in jail. Well, you probably shouldn't have been doing blow. You wouldn't have missed that one.
Probably should be driving while extremely tired and or drunk.
No, he wasn't. His dad was doing the driving.
He just said he missed his kids' activities. How would he have not been there?
Hey, don't ask. He won't tell.
Best not to look at those contradictions too closely, eh?
Shockingly not pulled over. No cited for DUI ever. Never been questioned for DUI ever. Isn't there actually a case of him getting a DUI charge?
I don't remember, but...
Or was it a speeding charge? I thought he had a traffic violation.
He might, but it doesn't matter, because just because you haven't been caught doesn't mean you haven't been doing it.
True. And that's another thing. Lots of people get away with driving impaired until they don't.
Yeah.
Anyway, whatever issues exist for me, and I'm not admitting to shit during my case, obviously, I figured a friend of mine would maybe realize that my children have never been neglected or in danger. You had coke in your house, laying out. You didn't even have that shit locked up. Your kids were in danger.
Yeah, he had unsecured firearms and ammunition laying around. That's a problem. That's irresponsible.
Look,
at least have them where, look, I grew up around a lot of guns. A lot of guns. We knew enough not to go near where the guns were. You don't go in certain cabinets. You don't touch them. That's not the same as having them just laying under your bed.
I'll take his word for it that the receiver was locked and that the guns were secure enough that the kids couldn't fire them. You had cocaine out where your kids could get it.
Yeah, there was probably gummies laying around or some sort of edibles. Because if
we
Kayla had them in her prescription bottle, where else were they laying?
I don't know about the neglect. We'll have to see that shit. But I do know your children were in danger. And the fact that you can't recognize that, that's addict talk, dude.
It absolutely is. Yeah, maybe there is one vindictive person out of this, but there's still several other people involved in this that found the accusations credible enough that they were worried and went to somebody about it.
I don't care if this came from somebody. I don't care if the information came from Ethan Ralph. He had coke in there with his kids.
Yep.
The vindictiveness of it doesn't fucking matter, Nick. Anyway,
the fact that you actually had drugs around your kids is the issue. And a funnel and a scale. Probably a bunch of baggies, too.
He goes on to say, but I guess that small courtesy is too much. Drugs around your kid, man. I don't have courtesy for that.
Yeah, I have no sympathy for you. You put your kids in danger. Fuck you.
Now, it says in very hard to read type at the top, is that driving blasted out of your mind like the report says? And he says, no, you fucking idiot. No one sees me drive.
What, are you invisible? Like, when I get high, I go invisible.
And somebody replied, I know it's hard to see someone when they're driving 88 miles per hour 4 hours after a bender. And he says, again, what the fuck are you talking about? Are you referring to a speeding ticket? You tell us, Nikki. Do you know what track marks are, retard? I've never done an IV drug in my life.
There are other types of sores you can get from doing drugs. Lesions, that sort of thing.
And the other person, I don't know if this is the same person as last time, but somebody else remarks, you doing cocaine at 8 a.m. with your kids watching cartoons in the living room. And he says, what the fuck are you talking about? 8 a.m., homie? I'm usually driving home at 8 a.m. and about to go to sleep. We've seen y'all, or we've seen you at like 3 a.m. and by 8 a.m. you ain't sober enough to be driving, homie.
Yeah, especially home. So you're saying you left earlier when you were even more wasted. When we've saw you 3 or 4 hours before that, shit-faced. You're still drunk at 7 a.m. I'm sorry. It's been 3 or 4 hours. Fuck you, dude. Justifications.
Thank you, Michael, who says, I don't care if the info came from Hunter Biden. Coke was where kids could get it. Yes.
Yeah.
I have Monkey doesn't do drugs. I smoke. I smoke cigarettes, tobacco. Very, very rarely I will have a drink. I haven't had one of the gummies for pain, Jack, in well over a year. I'm not opposed. I wouldn't, if there were not kids involved, I wouldn't care if Nick was getting high right now.
As long as nobody's getting hurt and there's no children around, I'm fine with it.
Yep, got it. He's locked in his own house, beating off while doing blow. I don't give a shit.
Yeah, that's a you business. You want to throw your life away and shit, go for it. But you've got children around, and you should have this near them, and you definitely shouldn't be driving on the road impaired.
But I haven't been stopped.
Oh, I can handle it. I haven't wrecked yet.
Cigar Chomping Penguin, thank you so much. I live alone and keep my revolver in one safe and ammo in another. Fuck him, jail. I agree.
Yeah.
Again, I hope he's right that the ammo wasn't there. But the guns don't even have to be there. The gun is a misdemeanor charge. It's a year. It's the kids being around the coke. Anyway, what the fuck are you talking about? I was driving home, man. I was getting ready to go sleep.
Yeah, see, it makes it okay because I was already on my way home at that hour. So it's not that his premise is flawed, it's the time is wrong.
He says, if you think my kids ever went hungry or were neglected, kill yourself. To which somebody replies, I don't know what to believe. You become a junkie and they're not the most honest people out there. That is something you need to keep in mind with whatever Nick says. He is a junkie.
He's talking from the lens of an addict in denial.
He says, I've been on stream with you where you were too intoxicated to read super chats for hours. I never thought your kids went hungry. Bruh, do you have a reason to think that? We have a report that your kids said they were going hungry. And I saw somebody else. It was the lawyer stream the other day. Nate the lawyer, uncivil law, and eventually, what's his name? Joe. You got people who watch Lawtube will know Joe. What's his fucking handle? They're talking about this, and they try to explain it away, like, hey, look, all kids say hungry. All kids say they're hungry, and that was Joe. And fat little Kurt, like, yeah, that's true. And Nate went, wait a minute. There's a difference between hungry and I'm not being fed. And I could have hugged him in that moment.
Right?
Good logic. Thank you. That's his name. Good logic. Yes, we talked about this the day this shit broke, or maybe it was the second day when we got more details. Yes, kids will tell you they're still hungry literally after just eating, or that they're hungry literally after just eating. They won't tell you they're not fed. They're not going and complaining to school staff that they're not being fed at home. Those are entirely different things, and pretending they're not is retarded. That's cope. That's Nick is my friend, and I'm trying to make this as good as it can be. We don't know if that's actually what the children said, and if you want to make that argument, sure, go for it. I don't care. But don't sit here and try to argue that children telling you they haven't been fed is the same as just normal kids saying they're hungry. Anyway, this person says in response to Nick saying that they were drunk before, and I didn't say your kids were neglected. He said, I stopped that because it was getting bad. You need to admit you have a problem. And he says, become a junkie? Wow. All right. Thanks, Flash. I guess it's good they cut out the wording there, or covered who was the talker.
Yeah.
I wonder,
nobody's going to know who Flash is.
I wonder who Flash is in the yellow Flash conversation.
It's Flash Thompson, the guy that was bullying Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Also notice they used the yellow marker to do it.
I know. I didn't even pay attention that they had blocked it out. I just thought it was his thing until I looked closely and realized they blocked out the time and stuff too, and the name. Yeah, you could have done a little better trying to block that out. But anyway, Ethan Ralph is really pissy about this because he jumped the gun, as that junkie's prone to do. And now him and the quartering are in an argument, and Ralphie is threatening to out whoever said this stuff because it's their fault. He's a fat retard. And yeah, can't wait to see how that all blows up. Nick,
well, it'll blow up exactly how you think.
End up with a woman pregnant and alone, I'm sure. Ebony, thank you. I can't understand how a lawyer thought it was a good idea to talk about his alleged crimes on a public forum. He shouldn't be talking about them on the internet at all. Yeah. Public, private, anyway.
It doesn't matter. They're going to subpoena anything you have online. And they could get that. So if it's, unless it's like somehow encrypted beyond imagination, which is really hard to do and pretty rare, all these messages from these group chats, they can subpoena them. No matter, even if they delete them, the companies can still recover them.
But I get your point there, Ebony, but just for the audience's sake, don't talk about any of your crimes online.
Yeah.
Ever, anywhere.
Stop self-snitching.
Yeah.
It's dumb. It's really, really dumb.
And I if I remember correctly, well, hang on. I think Fugi sent me that. So before I talk out of my ass, which I try never to do, let me see if I can find that Ralph post. I can't follow Ralph myself because he got mad that I made fun of him. Oh, and we do know for sure Nick paid the bond, so he's still legally allowed to illegally obtain drugs, to drink alcohol right now. He paid the 50,000, and his wife was like, "No, I'll just not do blow for a while."
Huh, weird.
Yeah.
That's a choice, I guess. I don't think Nick's gonna really stick with any of that anyway. So
Shit, now I can't find that Ralphie stuff, so I don't want to put it out there that somebody said it and it wasn't them. I know the name that was said within the tweet, but without having something to back me up, I'm not going to say it on stream. I was actually surprised by who he claimed it was. Nick is as smart as AOC at this rate. Yeah, about that. Yeah. Don't talk about crimes you do, period, but go ahead if you want to get caught. Yes. It's never a good idea to bring more people into your criminal ring. It's amazing how many people get caught that way by bragging about it or telling about it.
Not only caught, but convicted.
Yeah.
Because they keep doing that kind of dumb shit.
If his wife can't possess or drink alcohol, does that mean they had to get rid of all of that in the house? I would imagine so. He's going to have to go into the car to go get drunk. I honestly don't know. I don't know how that works. Where she takes the deal that she doesn't have to pay. Because in Minnesota, again, guys, we talked about this the other day, but they have a weird system compared to most every other state. In that when it comes to bail, you can be released for money, or they'll be like, or don't do this shit. And in this case, it's no possession of a firearm, no illegal drugs, no alcohol, and random testing.
Well, I hate to do it, but you're assuming that she's staying at the house with him.
Oh, no, you're right. But no, I guess that is an out there. She could be staying with April in a complete. Oh, I'm calling it now, Jack. I'm calling it now. April and Kayla went back to Aaron.
Oh, I was thinking they got their own love shack and they're going to call it the Scissor Den.
No, his wiener is just so good. What fucking show did I see him on the other? Oh, Alex Stein. Alex Stein is trying to get him to say that, the girl said he was the best, and he's playing it off and being all coy. Like, I can't talk about that.
He said that somewhere else too.
He did. He said it in several places now. He did it. What was the first one I saw him say that on? I don't remember.
That's
I remember
probably Kino Casino.
I remember. Yeah. Yes, that's it. Thank you. On the Kino, he was doing that shit. And then somebody in the chat had already told us he'd been saying that. But yeah, he was. No, totally, guy. Look, I can't talk about that. Wink, wink. You've never. Somebody would have shown me a picture and went, "This guy's gay." I would have been like, "He doesn't look gay." I now think you're gay. I think Aaron has tasted Nick's penis.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe they were pegging each other or something. I don't know.
I think Aaron was. He probably was like, the girls seem to like sucking on that. I'm going to suck on it too. And that's when they all were like, you need to get out, dude.
I think they sucked on each other's, and somebody didn't like the way he did it.
I don't. Everything I've seen from him is like bottom beta bitch. So I don't think he would have even asked Nick to suck it. He was probably offended at the idea of sucking because that's what women do. Having it sucked, like that's what women do. Just put it in my butt.
Oh.
Yeah. Dude, you really got to stop trying to brag about, losing your wife to another dude.
Yeah, somebody twice your age.
Stop trying to make it seem like a cool thing, man. You got played. Nick Rekieta took your wife from you. There's no win in that, dude. Anyway, with that, we're going to wrap this one up. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for hanging out for these fucking streams. Oh, God. Thank you for the donations. You guys are so kind. Just put it in my butt, ranting monkey. I did. I mean, technically, those words came out of my mouth. This is why you need context for everything. Jack, anything you want to chill out?
No, I haven't managed to finish anything due to real life circumstances, but all my links are in the description. Thank you guys so much for the generous tips and donations. You guys are awesome. And we'll be back soon with more shenanigans. So like, share, and subscribe. You can donate while the stream is off. So to the Streamlabs links. So there you go. You guys are amazing.
Aaron made a comment about Nick licking things. I'm not shocked.
Oh, that's terrifying. Oh, real quick. Thank you, Keldrick. Tell Monkey to read his slabs. Oh, Monkey, read your slabs.
I have a slabs?
Yeah, Streamlabs.
Thank you, Keldrick. No, I know what a slabs is. I'm in a donation there.
Oh.
Sorry, Keldrick. Yeah, this came through 6 minutes ago. A lot of people are really mad at Nate for daring to go against Nick and Lawtube. He's not perfectly in lockstep with them, and they hate him for it. Lawtube became the very thing that, ironically, Nick himself said it would become. Well, Legal Mindset talked about this the other day, and about how they were actually like trying to formalize it and stuff. And like, yeah, we'll get together and we'll each do each other's shows, and you can go on that one and I'll go on this one, and it'll help us all grow. And I mean, that's something you can do within a community, but what tends to happen, especially you're talking about lawyers, these are egotistical people to start with.
Yeah.
Egotistical YouTubers. All you're going to do is cause drama. And that's what happened. I mean, their first real drama was over somebody making an excited face at an appropriate moment in a courtroom. There's what I forget who the guy was, but he was testifying during the Amber Heard trial, and the Amber Heard team was trying to suggest that the only reason he was doing that was to try to get some clout. And he basically said, I could say the same thing for Amber. And the court, everybody went, oh shit, including Legal Bites and her team that were watching it. But somebody spotted this guy, what's his name? The DUI guy, I think. DUI lawyer. They spotted him in the gallery, and he went, had an O face on, and they went, oh my God, you can never come on this show again. You just showed how unprofessional you are.
No, that dude's got a pretty good sense of humor, actually.
That was the first real kickoff of drama in their little community.
Stupid.
Over that stupid shit.
I think a lot of them now are trying to get the bigger donors from Nick to come over to them.
Oh, yeah.
And I heard that being said about Viva and Barnes. I was like, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Legal Mindset was talking about that the other day. He's like, all of these guys are now trying to grab onto Nick's pay pigs.
See, I should have been a lawyer.
Hey, if you were one of Nick's pay pigs, come on over here. My children are too old to neglect.
I don't have any, so that's why there's unsecured weapons all over my house.
And I am way too poor to afford cocaine. Just saying.
A waste of money anyway.
Yeah, I wouldn't use it on that anyway. It would be video games.
Yeah, I have a comic book addiction, so.
Anyhow, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for coming and hanging out with us. A special thanks to Scribbles in absentia. He's no longer with us on the show. Go check out his channel. That's Scribe Light here on YouTube. Check him out on Twitter. It's also Scribe Light. Jack, a pleasure as always, my friend.
Always glad to be here.
Everyone, have a wonderful night. Take care of yourselves. See y'all next time.
Bye, everybody.
I should sing a song. I thought about just not singing songs anymore and just letting the audience get used to it.
I don't think they'll allow that.
Here's your song, fuckers. I love you. I don't neglect my kids because they're too old to.